Back at 8:39 this morning, and the city of Macon is preparing to commemorate a historic milestone in local Black history. 50 years ago, the first 5 Black city council members were elected to the Macon City Council. Megan Western sits down with a Macon native for the details.
Thanks for staying with us. They are called the Fantasy Five. In the 1970s, 5 Macon residents became the first Black members of the Macon City Council. So here to talk about the upcoming events surrounding their 50-year legacy celebration is award-winning author Harold Michael Harvey. So thanks so much for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, as an author, obviously you kind of focus on history. Talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of track and maintain the history from the 1970s all the way till now.
Well, in a sense, I was a part of that history. In 1975, a Baptist minister who pastored the First Baptist Church here in Macon ran for mayor. It was the first time that a Black person had run for mayor of Macon, and I served as his poster. So during the summer of '75, when these 5 candidates vied for public office for city council for the first time, everywhere that Reverend Hope and I were on the campaign trail, they were there too. And so I watched them as they presented, their best foot before the public, trying to become elected public officials, as we were for Reverend Hope. Reverend Hope did not win, and so the following year, I go back to the newspaper job that I had before the summer of '75 when I had Reverend Hope. And my assignment, I was the City Hall was my beat. And so I covered them for 4 years as council members, moved away in 1979, and the story never left me. I knew it was a historical moment in 1975, and that historical moment never left me. And as we approached the 50th anniversary, I thought that I should write a book and we should do something to honor them.
Yeah, well, what a unique experience as journalists and authors and historians. It's always unique to be able to live through that history. To be able to carry it on is also very unique. We want to go ahead and pop up the faces of each of the council members so you know who we're referring to. We have Willie C. Hill, Dolores Brooks, Julius Vinson, Vernon Colvert, and Reverend Eddie D. Smith Sr. So go ahead and talk about, again, some of the significance that this is adding to Macon's history and its story.
Well, those 5 individuals, they were just average individuals, but up until 1975, there really wasn't an opportunity for Blacks in the community to represent the city on city council. The city was founded, as you probably know, in 1823. Black people in this community at that time were enslaved, and then we had the Civil War. They were free. So in 1970, Edward Woodcliff was actually elected an alderman in 1970, but was run out of office shortly thereafter. So between 1870 and 1975, 105 years, Blacks did not have a role in local government. And in the summer of 1974, 2 members of the Macon community, one, David Lucas, who was a school teacher, a football coach, and William Billy Randall, who was a lawyer. They ran for the state legislature. And so we had not had Black state legislators here since 1870, when Bishop William McNeil Turner had represented Bibb County in the Georgia General Assembly. And he was also run out of office in 1870, and so you had like 104 years, actually 105 years, because those 2 individuals didn't take their office until January of 1975. Well, the very first thing that they did is they dropped a bill in the hopper that would permit or allow district voting lines for city council elections. And so 9 Black people ran for those city council posts, and 5 of them won. And I dubbed them the Fantasy Five because in 1833, it was almost impossible to believe that it would ever happen at any point in time in history but it did happen.
Yeah, I know earlier you also mentioned the Lucas family. They still have a very long-standing representation here in Macon, still long-lasting legacy. Coming up, people have the opportunity to actually join in on the celebration that you're planning. Go ahead and talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, there are two events. Mayor Lester Miller at 10 o'clock on Friday, so the big event is on Friday. Today is December the 9th, and actually today, the day that we're taping is the day that they were actually sworn into office, December the 9th, 1975. Our event is going to be on December the 12th, and there are two events. At 10 o'clock on December the 12th, which is Friday of this week, the Mayor Lester will read a proclamation honoring them and acknowledging that historical moment 50 years ago. And then at lunchtime, at noon, we will convene at the Tubman Museum and have a luncheon where we will further talk about the importance of their legacy and what they were able to accomplish 50 years ago. The luncheon is a ticket event. We're probably sold out. About 100 people have agreed to come and break bread with us at noon on the 10th, and we'll further explore these five and what they mean to this history. And if you have a moment, I'd like to share a few things with you about what they actually mean to this community.
Sure, very quickly if you can.
All right. One of the first issues that came up that they had to vote on was whether or not to permit self-service gasolines. Now, you may remember a time when there were nothing but self-service gasolines, but I grew up in an era when you would pull into what we called then the filling station, and an attendant would come out, fill your car with gasoline, check your oil and your tires, and then you'd be on your way. You know, now we have to do that ourselves. And the Fantasy Five opposed that because they said, and history bears them out, they were true. They said that to allow self-serve gas stations would eliminate X number of jobs in our community. And as history has recorded, that indeed is what happened. And now, last Sunday, I believe it was, we had the annual Macon Christmas Parade. Well, now when you have the annual Christmas Parade, you could go to a restaurant or a cafe in downtown Macon, and you can have a alcoholic beverage with your meal after the parade. Well, in 1975, you couldn't do that. And Dolores Brooks, who was elected in 1974, sworn in 1975, sworn in 1976, introduced a measure that would allow restaurants to be able to serve alcoholic beverages on the Sunday when the Christmas parade was held. And you know, so that is something that 50 years ago did not exist, but for the fact that one of the Fantasy Five, Dolores Brooks, when she was elected, restaurants in town came to her, asked if she would introduce the ordinance. She did. They had asked the previous council for years to do that, but the blue laws in our city they opposed it. Yeah. But she said, I'm going to introduce this measure. She ran into a brick wall, and Willie Hill, another one of the five, then took over this measure. And you know, so that's a bit of history that people take for granted this past Sunday.
Yeah.
But for what happened in 1975, that you wouldn't be able to have a drink with your meal.
Yeah, well, very good information there. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information. We're actually going to pop up some information on the screen for you. This event, the celebration that we were just talking about, the proclamation reading is happening at City Hall at 10 in the morning. Again, this is happening Friday, December the 12th. There will also be a luncheon to follow at noon. That's at the Tubman that we were talking about. Believe this might be closed off to the public. You can always look and reach out to them to find out.